All right, what's up everybody? Wanted to do another video with kind of an update here. I have good news and bad news. Let's start off with the good news. My calcium reactor, as I've kind of adjusted it and messed with it more, I've discovered new things, and I've discovered one thing why it was making so much noise, like the air bubbles recirculating through it. I think that I have it somewhat worked out, or better than it was anyway. So I'll keep you posted, but I think I have it figured out. Two things. So I'll just get up and show you. Turn the light on. So if we look at the calcium reactor, and inside that chamber, the plastic piece, one of the legs I had turned directly in front of this top return pipe. Well, when I looked at it, I noticed air bubbles were kind of being held in front of it, and they were being sucked up by the intake pipe or return pipe there. So that was making some of the noise. You know, every time air goes through the pipe and pump, it makes a noise. The next thing that I noticed that I didn't start with, the foam pad right here up under this, let's just call it return to the pump. I had this raised for some reason. I just didn't have it pushed down good. So it was elevated a little bit more on this side versus the other side and around. So air bubbles were hitting this, and while some of them were passing through, some of them were kind of building up and running towards this direction and coming up directly in here, which it was sucking them up, and then, you know, the pump was making the noise from that. So I believe for the most part I have it worked out, and it's a lot quieter than it was. So I had to open it back up and kind of make some adjustments there, but you know, I'm just glad that I figured that out. And I just heard it slush and picked up one. It's still, I just have opened it up 30 minutes ago. So it's still got a few air bubbles that are, you know, popping up through it. And I'm hoping after all the air bleeds out of it, then I won't have that anymore. Otherwise it runs quiet, but it's just noisy when the air gets sucked into the pump and it makes that slursh sound. All right, so for the bad news, the whole reason, let me get down here, the whole reason I broke my tank down, tore everything apart, was from fermented snails. So guess what? I found some again. I don't see, I've looked over everywhere in the display tank. I don't see any in the display tank. I filled the display tank completely up with water, took all the rock out, and then put citric acid in the tank and let it sit for at least an hour. Then I scrubbed all the walls and everything down and pretty much sterilized the whole tank. I filled the sump up with citric acid, but I don't think I filled it up to the top. My concern is that well, I see vermin snails again in the sump, but I don't see them anywhere in the display. So I'm wondering if there were some still in like the drain lines to the sump. I don't know the situation. I'm trying to figure this all out and put pieces together, but let's get down here and take a look. Right there on the corner of that roller. Prime example. There's another one kind of in the middle. Another one further down, but that's the best example you can see. Also noticed one kind of in that bottom corner, and there's one a little further towards the middle. I can see it, but it blurs out in the camera. And I still got all this like sand particles and dust up under here. Oh, I think that's one, right? Yep. Looks like one there too. What drew me to this is all of a sudden I look in the sump and I see all these like stringy things. And I didn't know what in the world it was. It didn't look like dinos. It's not really brown enough and it doesn't have the bubbles. I said, what in the world can that be? And I was trying to figure it out. And I kept just looking at the sump, and I don't know if those are anything to do with the vermilion snails, but that's the reason I started kind of inspecting down here. And I hadn't noticed it until now. So I got down close and then noticed that first one and started looking around and spotted more. So it's getting later tonight. I don't think, one day is going to make any difference. I mixed up a batch of salt water. Tomorrow I'm going to drain the sump down and scrub it out really good. Pick all those guys out of there and try to sterilize it the best I can. I don't know if, maybe I'll fill it up with like fresh water and peroxide or something like that and scrub it out. And take all the parts out of it and everything and probes and give it a real good cleaning and go from there. I'm just hoping and praying that I don't have them in my main display again, because that was the reason that put me through all of this. That's the reason I tore down the whole tank and started over, is just because of these snails. Now just seeing them again, it's put me in a whole new state of mind again. I can't believe I thought I had eradicated the problem. I felt sure I eradicated the whole thing. I bought all new rock, everything. New rock, new sand. Everything got changed out. So that's the bad news, and when it rains it pours. That's really bad news. So anyway, tomorrow when I get off work, I'm gonna start tearing the sump down and eradicate them out of that, and just, I guess, hope and pray that they're not in my main display. If they're in the main display again, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I mean, at this point, I might just have to let it ride, because I'm not tearing the tank down again. I don't know, what I'm gonna do or how I'm gonna deal with it, but I'm just at this point hoping that this is as far as they are. So, I mean, I'm thinking that there might have just been some, somehow in the drain lines and eggs or something, and ended up, making it this far. I don't see any in the rest of the sump, so hopefully that's it, and that's as far as they've traveled. But I will update you as soon as I figure out anything else. Thanks again for watching, and let me know if you have any questions.